Unless some people told me they have, I already have house fever. You need to get out. Okay. Everybody has their left sky today. You can't imagine COVID, no? Like all those days and weeks, and like I can't handle one day. Interesting. Nice. So we're going to chazer from on Chav Zayin Amud Aleph from the Mishnah. Sorry, where did we get up to? We started from the Gemara. I'll start from the Gemara. We had a machlokes. Actually, I think it's more to see the Mishnah because the Gemara is going to talk about the Mishnah again, so we're going to see the Mishnah. Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, Rabbi Eliezer Ayman. Rabbi Eliezer says, Arba esrei seudos chayv adam lechol b'sukkah achas be'em achas b'layla. Rabbi Eliezer says a person is mechuyev to eat 14 sudas on Sukkot, one by day, one by night, 7 times 2, 14. We know that Sukkot is how many days? 7 days. Shmini Atzeres is not really Sukkot, and you need to eat 14 meals in Aglabe Hilchas Yeshiva Sukkah. The Sukkah needs that. You have to live. We'll see in the Gemara why. The Chachamim say, Ein ledavar kitzah. No, there's no set amount. There's no like rule. You have to eat as many meals in the Sukkah. Chutz, there's one exception. Milele Yom Tov Rishon Shachar Bovad. The first night of Sukkot only. That is the only night you must eat in the Sukkah. And the Gemara is going to discuss this machlokes. Another machlokes. Vayid Amar Rabbi Eliezer, says Eliezer further, Mi shaloi achal leili Yom Tov Harishon. Somebody who did not eat the first night of Yom Tov, he didn't eat the meal. The halacha is Yashlim beleili Yom Tov Acharon Shalchag. He has to make up a meal. He can make it up even Shmini Atzeres. But it's not just only Shmini Atzeres. It really is any day of Sukkot. But it's even Shmini Atzeres, which is not even really Sukkot anymore for a lot of for a lot of different ways. But you can make it up on Shmini Atzeres night, and we'll see how to make it up because Shmini Atzeres needs its own meal for Shmini Atzeres. The Chachamim say, Ein ledavar tashum. You cannot make up. If you miss the first night of Sukkot, the meal, you cannot make it up. Val zeh nemron, on this it says a pasuk in Kehelis. Mu'uvas lo yuchal liskan. It's something that's twisted that you cannot fix. The chisaron, something lacking, lo yuchal liyimas, you can't count. This is a mistake that you'll have to live to. You'll have to live with this decision the rest of your life and regret it. Al kapanim, that is the Mishnah. Says the Gemara. My time of Reb Eliezer. What is the reason Reb Eliezer says you have to eat 14 sudas every single meal, twice, 2 meals a day? Because it says teishvu. It says in the Torah you have to teishvu, you have to dwell in the sukkah. And we darshan ke'ein taduru, the same way you live at home. The same way you live at home and how you eat and how you sleep, that is what you have to do on Sukkot. Ma dear, just like your home, your regular home, achas b'yom v'achas b'layla, everybody eats 1 meal a night and 1 meal by day. The standard person had 2 meals. Av Sukkah, so too when it comes to Sukkot, achas b'yom v'achas b'layla, you have to eat 2 meals a day. That's what you do at home. That's what you got to do in the Sukkah. V'rabbanan, what do the Rabbanan hold about this? Kedira, yeah. I also agree with you like a dira. But you got it wrong. You know it's similar to a dira? Ma dira, just like your home, your regular home. Iboy, if he wants achel, he could eat. Iboy, if he wants loy achel, he doesn't have to eat. You don't have to eat at home. You can fast, you could eat, you can do whatever you want. You can snack. Up to you, it's your own home. Av sukkah nami, so to the sukkah also. Iboy, if he wants achel, he eat. Iboy, if he wants loy achel, he won't eat. What? I don't have to eat 14 meals. The whole idea of a home is I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
What is Takab Shah with the Rabbi Eliezer that you have to eat?
Rabbi Eliezer says you have to be, and we'll see in a few seconds, Rabbi Eliezer retracted. So Rabbi Eliezer held that you have to be very normal, and the same way you live in your home, you have to live in the sukkah. And a normal person has 2 meals a day. That's a you have to eat in the sukkah.
It's not a chiyuv. How does it translate to?
Because you have a chiyuv yeshiva sukkah, the same way you have yeshivas in your dira. The same way, however you act at home, you got to act in a sukkah. It's the same way you have 2 meals a day in your home, on a regular day, on Monday like today. So too, on Sukkot, on Monday, whatever days of Sukkot, you have to have 2 meals. Probably a lot more meals today, rather than sitting at home and stop eating. But you do whatever you want, like a dira. So the Gemara asks, Ihachi, if so, if the Rabbanan say you can do whatever you want, Afilu leili yom tov rishanam, even the first night of Sukkot, you can do whatever you want. Why is there chiyuv to eat the first night? No, I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Says Rabbi Yechanan Mishum in the name of Reb Shimon ben Yehoy Tzadok. You have Gzeira Shava. Nemer kan, it says here by Sukkot. Chamisha Asar, it says 15. Torah says the words 15, because on the 15th of Tishrei Sukkot. The Nemar, and it says Chamisha Asar, those same words, 15. B'Chag HaMatzah by Pesach, because it's on Tesva of Nisan. Mal, just like over there by Pesach. Laila Harishon Chayva, the first night's a Chiyav. You don't have to eat matzah every day of Pesach. If you want to eat bread, you have to eat matzah bread, not chametz bread. But the first night, the Leil Seder, you have to eat matzah. Mikam be'ilach rishos, but then the rest of Yom Tov you're allowed to do, you don't have to eat matzah, you can do whatever you want. Afkan, so to here by Sukkot. Laila Rishon Chayva, the first night's a Chayv. Mikam be'ilach, from here on, rishos is voluntary. So only the first night, because of Gzeira Shava, the first night of Sukkot you have to eat in the Sukkah. The rest of the Yom Tov, if you want to eat in the Sukkah, you could. If not, you could snack, you could fast, you do whatever you want. The Gemara says, "V'hasam anon." Where do we know Taka by Pesach that the first night of Pesach you have to eat matzah? Amar Kros, the pasuk says, "Be'erev teichlu matzahs." In the evening, you have to eat. Teichlu means like a tzivui. You need to eat matzahs. Hakasuv kevoi chayva. The Torah, the kas of the Torah was kevoi, set it up as a chayva that you have to eat the first night. So just the chazer over, we have a machlokes. Rabbi Eliezer says you have to eat 14 sudas, and the Rabbanan say only the first night. But get ready for, what's it called, where it switches at the end in the book? Get ready for a major plot twist. Says a plot twist. Says the Gemara Vayter. This is what we're up to. By the way. The Oid Amar Rabbi Eliezer. They were quoting the second machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer. The second machlokes of Eliezer and Chachamim were, what is the halacha in terms of if you miss a meal, let's say the first night of Sukkot, which according to everyone's a chiyuv, Eliezer says all 14. The Chachamim say just the first night. But if you miss a meal, is there a makeup? The Chachamim say there's no makeup. Whatever you need to eat, if you miss it, it's over, which is only the first night. Reb Eliezer says you eat 14 sudas. You miss any of those, you have to make it up, and you could even make it up on Shmini Atzeres. So we're going on that. Frankly, Gemara question: what? The Ha'amar Reb Eliezer. Reb Eliezer says in the beginning of the Mishnah, Arba Esrei Sudas, 14 Sudas, Chayiv Adam Lachal B'Sukkah, a person's mechuyev to eat in the Sukkah, Achaz B'yem, Achaz B'layla, one by day and one by night. It's a stira. He holds you need to eat in the Sukkah. That's the whole idea. Every meal is to be eaten in the Sukkah. If you miss a meal, let's say the first night, you can make it up on Shmini Atzeres. Where do you eat on Shmini Atzeres? You eat in your house. There's no Hilchas Sukkah on Shmini Atzeres. It's the 8th day. It's by itself. So therefore, how is it possible, according to Eliezer, you could be mashlim a Suda? He's the one that says Sudas have to eat in the Sukkah, all 14. It's not possible that he could hold, you could be mashlim it on Shmini Atzeres. Oh, you didn't eat the first night of Sukkot? Okay, make it up Shmini Atzeres. Where, in your house? I missed the meal in the Sukkah. I need 14 of those. How is it shaykh to be mashlim on Shmini Atzeres? That is the Gemara's question. Good? Bam kasha. Such a bam kasha, the Gemara says, Omar Bira. Okay, a guy named Bira. It's the name of a chacham. I don't know who he is. His name was Bira. Not a bad name. Omar Reb Ami says the name of Reb Ami. Chazar boy Reb Eliezer, period. Reb Eliezer was chayzer. He retracted that whole machlokes that we spoke about in the ratio of the Mishnah. Reb Eliezer says you need 14 sudas. And the Chachamim say only one the first night. Reb Eliezer says he retracted. We don't know why he retracted. Doesn't say. He retracted. He was chayzer and he went like the Chachamim. So, fine, so that's good. But let's get to, so what do they argue about? They argue only about the Seifa. What was the Seifa? They both agree the only night you have to eat is the first night. Elezer's changing. Major change. He holds like the Chachamim. You only have to eat the first night. But what he holds is that you can make up the first night, even Shmini Atzeres. That the Chacham don't agree with. Nachamo. Rebbe Eliezer retracts and he says, you don't need 14 sudas. I agree to the Chachamim. You only need the first night. Based on Gzeira Shava, from Pesach, just like Matzah is the first night, Sukkot is the first night. What I hold, though, unlike the Chachamim, what I hold differently, is that if you mess up and you deny in the Sukkah the first night, you could have a makeup meal. And your makeup meal could be any day of Sukkot, but even Shmini Atzeres. Even Shmini Atzeres. Okay? Now, when you're eating it even on Shmini Atzeres, you're not eating it in the sukkah. You're eating it outside the sukkah. But still he holds, it's a Suda, and I could still accomplish the idea of eating a Suda. And his proof is from the Karbanis. There's a Chiyuv to bring a Korban Chagiga. It's one of the Karbanis you must bring. Every male must bring a Korban Chagiga every Yom Tov. This is besides for the Korban Oila, which you must bring, an Oila Sriya, of seeing Hashem, being in the Beis HaMikdash. You also have a Chiyuv to bring a Chagiga, which is a Shlamim, something you eat, and it's a way to enjoy the Yom Tov. You have a Chiyuv. If you mess up and you don't bring a Korban Chagiga on the first day of Yom Tov, you can bring it the second day of Yom Tov, you can bring it the third day of Yom Tov, but guess what? You can even bring it Shmini Atzeres. It's a Mishnah Chagiga, and Yuma also, I think. You could even be mashlim the carbon, which is very strange because it's not sukkahs anymore, it's Shmini Atzeres. The same way I could be mashlim the karbanas, I could be mashlim a meal. Even outside the sukkah. Even outside the sukkah. Yes, what were you saying?
The whole question was that on the first night, on the last night, the Gemara's question was that on the last night I have to be mashing up on the Shmini Atzeres, right? So we chazabah.
Right.
And then the answer is taka could be on Shmini Atzeres.
Whoa. Bomb kasha. Everyone goes crazy about this pshat. And I'm going up to Rashi. All the Rishonim, Mamish don't like what I just said for the same thing that Rami just said. Mamish, they all cannot handle this. They go crazy. They go crazy on it. They would say different pshat, which we're not going to learn. But they do not understand how is it Shaykh Rashi learned the sugya like this. To bring out this question again, to explain it. Says Rebbe Eliezer, I agree to the Chachamim. You don't need every meal to be in the sukkah, just the first night. But he agrees the first night has to be eaten in the sukkah. So what's this thing? I can make it up on Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres, you don't eat in the sukkah. What's your makeup? Just eating a meal? Just eating a meal? I mean, every Yom Tov eat a meal. What's so special about sukkah is eating in the sukkah. So how could you make it up on Shmini Atzeres? Fine, he was chayzer, you don't need all 14 meals. But you still need the first night to be eaten in the sukkah. So how could he hold it as a hashlama? The Rabbanan are very gishmak. The Rabbanan say, it's the Movasa Yichuliskoin. The Chesar Yuchal Limanis. This is, you cannot make this up. It's done. There's a chiyut in the sukkah. You can't make it up on a different night, and especially not Shmini Atzeres. Rebbe Eliezer says, I agree to you, it's only the first night, but you can make it up. Not only can you make it up on sukkahs, you can make it up on Shmini Atzeres. Even if you don't eat in the sukkah, you're not allowed to eat in the sukkah Shmini Atzeres. Why? Because Baal Taisef. You're not allowed to add on to the mitzvahs. So you're not allowed to eat in the sukkah. You have to eat it in your house. You could still make it up. But the question is, how does that work? How does it shayach? Eating on Shmini Atzeres in your home could be a hashlama, a makeup for your first night meal on sukkahs. It's mamish apella. We're going to leave it as a kasha. Such a good kasha. And Rishonim have other ways to learn. I'm going to leave it, something about learning and being shver. The Marsha deals with Rashi, the Marshal, they're all busy with it. They all say different pshatim. Yeah.
Why can't you have Achra and Shalchag just mean any other night that's not the first night?
So it's very good because they say, Rashi himself says, we're not singing inside. He says, even Shmini Atzeres. He means even the last night, which is the big chiddush. The Rabbanan hold you can't make it up any night. That's the truth. But Rebbe Eliezer says you can make it up any night of Sukkot and even the last night. The chiddush is even the last night, but it's not even really Sukkot. But his raya is interesting raya. The Korban Chagiga, which is really for Sukkot, you can make it up on Shmini Atzeres. So it's also a little, but that here a little bit better because you're still bringing a korban. Here, you're not even like eating in the sukkah. You're eating in your home on Shmini Atzeres, and it's a makeup for what you missed the first night of Sukkot. So this is a bomb kasha. Okay, we're gonna leave it shver. B'chazah by Reb Eliezer. But let's just finish the Gemara. A few more minutes. The Gemara says, "How are you mashlam on Shmini Atzeres?" Okay, so you missed the first night of Sukkot. You were spacing out, and you didn't eat in your sukkah. For some reason, you didn't make it up every other day of Sukkot. It's Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres. Okay, how do I make up a meal? Shmini Atzeres, it's a Yom Tov. I have to eat my own meals for Shmini Atzeres, just for Shmini Atzeres itself. How do I make it up? Says the Gemara, Mashlim b'mai. With what? B'mai, with what are you making it up with? What are you doing? What are you going to eat to make it up? Ilema, if you say berifta, have some bread. Say, I'm having some bread, l'shem, the first night of Sukkot that I miss. Okay, in your home, having in mind this bread. Suda d'yomi ka'achil. The suit of the day of Shmini Atzeres ka'achil you're eating. Shmini Atzeres itself needs bread to be eaten, right? It's a regular Yom Tov. You always have a Yom Tov suit on Shmini Atzeres. So having bread is not going to show me that it's a makeup meal for the first night of Sukkot. It's the regular suit of the day. It's Shmini Atzeres. So eating bread is not a good tashlumin. Ella ma yashlim. Rather, with what is it that you're being mashlim at the food? How are you compensating? The Gemara says yashlim. You can make it up b'mine targima, with types of desserts. Targima over here means desserts. You have the meal, you have the bread, you have the meat. Now we're used to having desserts, but could be back then they weren't so used to that. Everyone had desserts. Bring out the desserts. And I'll give you some examples of desserts that Rashi says. He says fruits, nuts, and also dried leek. If that interests you, dried leek. Have a geschmacke dessert. You know, like on Rosh Chodesh, I don't know if you guys know about this. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Anybody know about making like an extra kogel or some extra food for Rosh Chodesh? Anybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's brought down. If Rosh Chodesh falls out on Shabbos, you should add something to the meal. Okay, it's a nice thing to do to show it's Rosh Chodesh. So over here as well, it's Shmini Atzeres. I'm eating a regular meal, Shmini Atzeres, but you also should add a shtickle dessert and say, this is for the food that I missed the first night of Sukkot. Okay, that's what he says. And the Gemara brings a proof. Taninam Yehochi. I learned there's a brisa also that says this. Im Hishlim, if a guy made up, if he compensated b'mine targima with types of desserts, yotza, he would be yotza. If a guy compensated his meal with types of desserts, he would be yotza. Why does it say a lashon of im hishlim if he does? Not im. I mean, this is how you do it. It sounds like a b'diavad. If you compensate with desserts, you're yotza. Say this is how you compensate. The answer is because I'll tell you another pasha way to compensate is you wash, you eat the bread, you have meat, you bench, and then maybe take a walk around the block and have another suda. That's the best. Have another suda of bread and meat. It's a Rashi.
This is Rashi answering that kasha. That
Why?
None of these stuff that he mentioned have to eat in the sukkah.
They actually asked this question. They actually ask. What Ari is saying, I don't know if you're asking this exactly. It makes the kasha even more shver. Make it up a dessert. The desserts don't even need to be eaten in the sukkah. Like the food you're eating is not even like the food. You have to eat bread on the first night of sukkahs. So for somehow, it's a very interesting hashlama, this compensation, that having fruits and desserts in your home is a compensation, according to Rebbe Eliezer, for the first night of sukkahs. But the best thing to do is have another full-fledged meal of bread and meat, like we do like whenever Shabbos falls out, Erev Yom, it's Shal Shudas, and there's still a second day of Yom Tov. You want to eat the Shal Shudas earlier, you split the meal. One more story. Stop here. Shol apotropos shel Agrippas HaMelech as Rebbe Eliezer. The apotropos, the manager of Agrippas HaMelech. Agrippas was one of the last kings before the Churban. One of the last kings. He's pretty good to the Jews, actually. And the manager of his household, of Agrippas HaMelech, he asked, as Rebbe Eliezer, he asked Rebbe Eliezer a question. Okay, what's the question? Kigoinani, for example, the apotropos, the manager says, for example, she'eni rogel lecho, I'm not accustomed to eat, elasuda achas bayoim. I only usually eat one meal a day. That's my type. Mahu, what is the halacha? She'echel suda achas ve'pater. What's the halacha if I eat one suda a day, ve'pater, and I'll pater my chiyav, like I'll be yotze? This guy, this apotropos, this manager of Agrippas HaMelech's household, he asked Rebbe Eliezer, Rebbe Eliezer, you have to eat 14 sudas a day. Why? Because you have to live in your sukkah the same way you live at home. And this is before Rebbe Eliezer was chayzer, right? It's before he was chayzer. And he said to him, I don't eat 2 sudas a day. I always have 1 suda a day. Would you say, like me, I could be yotze my sudas just having 1 suda a day on sukkahs? Amar Loi, Rebbe Eliezer said back to him, B'chol yoim v'yoim, on every single day, Ata mamshech kama parparois luchvei atzmacha. I'll read that again. B'chol yom v'yom, on every single day. Ata mamshech. Mamshech means like you dry yourself. You eat appetizers, which are parparois. Your mamshech, you wet your mamshech means to dry yourself, to pull yourself. You always pull yourself every day with kama parparois, many types of appetizers. Real appetizers whet your appetite to eat. You're this type, you only eat 1 meal a day, but whenever you eat that meal, you always have tons of appetizers to whet your appetite and make you hungry. L'chved atzcha, for your own covet. V'achshav, and now, iyata mamshech par peres achas, can't you at least take 1 appetizer and be mamshech and whet your appetite? L'chved kaincha, for the honor of your kaincha, your maker, Hashem. Kaincha, the one who acquired you, who made you, means, okay, I hear you have one meal a day. You know how you eat that one meal a day? You pound appetizers. You whet your appetite, you're so hungry, and you pound the meal. Do me a favor. Have some appetizers, eat a meal, have one more appetizer that, a little bit later the next day, and have another meal. You're so into your one meal, you make it so enjoyable, you whet your appetite so much, save one of your appetizers, save it for later in the day or the next day whenever he has the second meal, whet your appetite again, and have another meal, which means it's not an excuse. If you do that for yourself, even though it's one meal, you could eat more for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and have your 14 meals. But of course, this is before Eliezer was Chayzer. Stop over here. Kasha.
No, so I want to know
You don't know why he was Chayzer. He wasn't Chayzer from the question. He wasn't Chayzer. The Gemara asked the Kasha, the Gemara said it was Chayzer. But it wasn't the Kasha made him Chayzer.
the Kasha doesn't make sense because he could say
They say the same thing.
He's
Chayzer.
Still stuck.
Once he was Chayzer, the question how do you make it pick it up? How do you make it up? Right, it's still